Greetings, my name is Helen, and I find myself in the unfortunate circumstance of being a widow. I lost the love of my life at a very young age to a sudden illness. My husband was not just my life partner, but also my soulmate and best friend. In the aftermath of his passing, I leaned heavily on my family for emotional support. My parents were there for me, but my brother Eric proved to be different. Eric, instead of empathizing with my emotional struggles, appeared more focused on the material aspect of my situation. My late husband, a wealthy man, had left me a substantial estate and a considerable amount of money. Despite also working from home and earning a decent salary, my financial comfort was secondary to the profound loss I felt. I would have willingly traded all my wealth to have my husband back. To my disappointment, Eric showed little interest in my feelings. He and his wife Samantha, who had a stepdaughter named Teresa, consistently urged me to take on responsibilities related to Teresa. They seemed fixated on the idea that, given my financial standing and the absence of children, I should redirect my resources towards someone important. Samantha even suggested that spending time with Teresa would provide me with a taste of motherhood, given my lack of children. I was taken aback by their suggestions. I communicated my reluctance to focus on financial matters and expressed my current priority, recovering from the profound grief of losing my husband. Despite this, Eric and Samantha persisted, and even my parents were embarrassed by their insensitive remarks. Eric and Samantha faced criticism from our family for their unusual plans. I was infuriated with my brother for attempting to take advantage of me while I was still grappling with the loss of my husband. Moreover, I hardly knew Teresa well enough for them to assume I would assume her responsibilities. Despite the passing days, Eric and Samantha persisted in trying to shift Teresa's responsibilities onto me. They frequently requested money and insisted that I should contribute more since I didn't have children of my own. Their behavior wore on me, and one day I reached my breaking point. I sternly told them to cease trying to offload their parental duties onto me. I reminded them that Teresa was their child, not mine, and I wasn't obligated to care for her. Eric and Samantha continued to pressure me, emphasizing my financial capacity. I firmly rejected their demands, asserting that my wealth didn't entitle them to my money, and that I was not responsible for their parental duties. I scolded them thoroughly that day, and they remained quiet for a while, likely realizing the family's displeasure with their behavior. However, the peace was short-lived. Eric dropped a bombshell one morning, revealing that Samantha had gone missing due to a mental health crisis. He claimed to have involved the police in the search for her. I was taken aback by this news, as Samantha had seemed fine to me. Days passed with no sign of Samantha, and Eric leaned heavily on the family for support in caring for Teresa, who was distraught and yearning for her mother. The family took turns comforting and looking after her during this challenging time. During her summer break, she found herself in need of a babysitter whenever Eric left for work. After managing for a few days, Eric approached me with a request. He explained that Teresa, being very young, required a mother figure, and he was reluctant to leave her with a babysitter all day. He expressed his concern about Teresa crying for her mom and sought my help. I empathized with the situation, acknowledging that Teresa must be going through a tough time without her mother. Despite my reservations about Samantha, Eric's wife, I agreed to assist. Eric was grateful, mentioning how Teresa's mother seemed to be dealing with a mental health crisis. We both hoped for a resolution, recognizing the importance of Teresa having her mother during such times. I assured Eric that I would take care of Teresa until the situation improved. Soon, Eric started dropping Teresa off at my place whenever he went to work. He assured me that Teresa was a well-behaved child and wouldn't cause much disturbance. I willingly took on the responsibility, allowing Eric to focus on his job without worrying about Teresa's well-being. Although Teresa had been distressed initially, she adapted well to my home. I provided her with meals and toys, easing the financial burden on Eric. As days passed, Teresa settled comfortably in my care, and her well-being improved. She expressed happiness about her time with me, making Eric grateful for the positive impact. Our arrangement became somewhat routine, with Eric picking Teresa up after work. The situation, initially temporary, gradually evolved into a more permanent arrangement. One day, Eric approached me, expressing his gratitude for the positive influence I had on Teresa. Despite any issues I had with Samantha, I continued to prioritize Teresa's welfare and support Eric in this unexpected but meaningful journey of caring for the young girl. The fact that Teresa is such a well-behaved child is probably a reflection of her father's influence. Given that I have some upcoming business trips and we haven't located Samantha yet, I was thinking it might be best for Teresa to stay with you full-time for the time being. Would you be willing to take her in? Helen, you live alone and have ample space here. Teresa loves being at your place, and it wouldn't be a bother to you. I need to focus on my work and continue searching for Samantha. Having Teresa around can be distracting, and I don't have the time to give her the attention she needs. Eric, you can't just spring this on me. It's absurd to expect me to take in Teresa full-time. She should be with her father during challenging times, not shipped off to me. That's not responsible parenting. I understand, Helen, and I know it's a lot to ask. I'm doing what I think is best for Teresa right now. Please consider the well-being of that poor child and keep her. It's only temporary. Once I sort things out, I'll take her back and you won't have to worry about her anymore. Despite my annoyance, Eric continued to plead with me, even involving our parents and extended family, who pressured me to take Teresa in. Feeling under immense pressure, I reluctantly agreed. Eric was pleased with the outcome, and slowly, Teresa transitioned into my home permanently. I prepared one of the spare rooms for her, added new furniture, and provided her with toys and clothes. She was content and happy to be part of my household. I had developed a close bond with Teresa, who began to regard me as one of her parents. Consequently, she found it effortless to confide in me about the unsettling truth regarding Eric and Samantha. It was Teresa who divulged the distressing family secret, expressing her affection by stating, "You are so nice, Aunt Helen. I love you a lot. Dad says that you love me as well." Affirming my feelings, I assured her, "I do love you a lot, Teresa. You are almost like my own child." During our conversation, Teresa disclosed her enjoyment of being at my house, sharing that her mother also liked visiting and anticipated a future where I would generously provide them with the residence to live together. Perplexed by this revelation, I questioned Teresa about when her mother had discussed this plan with her. Teresa admitted, "She tells me almost every day, Helen. She told me not to tell you, but I feel bad keeping secrets. Mom doesn't want you to know that she is here." As the shocking information unfolded, I realized that Teresa's mother had been visiting my house, facilitated by the set of keys given to Eric, supposedly for Teresa's visits. The calculated actions of Eric and Samantha to deceive me, coupled with the fact that they coordinated their visits with my absence, left me in disbelief and shock. Seeking clarity, I inquired further, asking Teresa why her mother was feigning her disappearance. Teresa explained that her mother had orchestrated this ruse to create the illusion of her absence. Allegedly, she wanted me to take Teresa in as my child, asserting that my affluence and lack of children made me an ideal guardian for Teresa's well-being. The magnitude of their deception and manipulation left me reeling, grappling with the profound betrayal by my brother and his wife. To what extent is Eric aware of Teresa's involvement? Is he assisting your mom as well? I know Eric desires me to take care of you, believe me. I enjoy having you around and I'm simply curious, hence my inquiry. Yes, they advised me not to inform you and to act as though mom was not present. I love you, so I divulged everything. I hope you're not upset with me. Oh, Teresa, I'm not upset with you, dear. Thank you for sharing your secrets with me. It was quite thrilling to hear. I wanted to confront Eric and give him a piece of my mind. I felt manipulated and used. Those two fools exploited me to access my money. They played with my emotions and used their child for their schemes. I was furious. I didn't realize Eric and Samantha could be so greedy to go to such lengths. They lied to the entire family to make Teresa my heir. They were pathetic and disgusting as parents. I didn't even want to call Eric my brother anymore. But first, I needed to catch them red-handed. I informed my housekeeper about the situation and told her to keep a close eye on everything. She was embarrassed by the fact that someone had been sneaking in behind her back. I assured her that I wasn't angry because my brother had given Samantha the key. Together with Teresa, we devised a plan to put an end to this game once and for all. The next day, I decided to go on a shopping trip. I left the house in good spirits, drove around the neighborhood twice, and returned home. My housekeeper gave me the signal, and I entered Teresa's room. She was alone, playing with her toys. I looked at her and raised my eyebrows. She nodded and pointed to the closet. I opened the closet with a serious expression, and to my surprise, found my sister-in-law Samantha inside. As soon as she saw me, she turned pale. I pulled her out and asked, "Are you going to tell me what you are doing in my house and hiding in my closet?" She stammered, "I was just visiting my daughter." I retorted, "Who exactly permitted you to enter my house? I don't recall ever giving you a set of my house keys. Weren't you supposed to be missing?" She confessed, "I got it from Eric. I was missing Teresa, and I just came back today. I was desperate to see my daughter, so I came here without your permission." I pressed further. "So why has Teresa been telling me that you visited her every time?" I departed from the house. "Do you have a plausible explanation for that? She's just a child and may not comprehend what she's saying. You shouldn't lend credence to her words. She is a child. That's why she revealed the truth to me. You attempted to involve your child in your nefarious plans to exploit my wealth. You should be ashamed of yourself, Samantha. You should have reconsidered before trespassing into my house. You are aware that I can have you arrested, right? Samantha appeared genuinely frightened and began to perspire. It hadn't dawned on her that she had illegally entered my house, and I was well within my rights to have her arrested. She was visibly nervous upon grasping the gravity of the situation. Realizing she was stuck, I instructed the housekeeper to take Teresa to my room so that Samantha couldn't use her as a tool for blackmail. Samantha was now stuck with me for good. She pleaded, "Helen, there's no need to involve the police. I swear, I just returned today. I only wanted to see Teresa, so I begged Eric for the keys." I retorted, "Is that so, Samantha? Then why is Eric claiming he hasn't heard from you yet? Stop trying to twist the story. I know well enough that you and Eric devised this plan to manipulate me. Your daughter has disclosed everything to me." "Helen, you have to understand, I only had her best interest in mind. I was a poor and desperate mother who wanted her daughter to have a good life," she pleaded. I questioned, "Is that why you've been telling Teresa that you all live in my house? Your daughter is a good kid, Samantha. She knows what you did was wrong, so she told me everything. You thought you could take advantage of me by using your child. Well, you are wrong. Now I will show you what happens to people who mess with me." As soon as I said this, I could already hear sirens in the distance. Yes, I called the cops on Samantha the moment I walked in through my door. She had entered my house without permission, and I intended to teach her a lesson. She attempted to flee, but I apprehended her and held her in place. The police arrived, took my statement, and subsequently arrested her. I conscientiously conveyed the entire situation to them, a revelation that undeniably left them astonished. Needless to say, they promptly contacted CPS to initiate an inquiry. With Teresa's mother now incarcerated, her father was poised to gain full custody. As for my brother, karma was swiftly catching up with him. Following Samantha's apprehension by the police, I headed straight to my parents' home. We promptly reached out to Eric and summoned him. Upon his arrival, it was evident that he was well aware that his grand plan had unraveled. He appeared embarrassed and steadfastly avoided meeting our gaze. Addressing Eric, I remarked, "Do you have anything to say for yourself? Don't bother lying. We've transcended that point. I'm privy to the truth as much as you are. I'm sorry, Eric, but I acted in Teresa's best interest. We believed you had the means to provide her with a lavish life, considering your solitary status and lack of children. We thought having Teresa around would be beneficial for you as well. But Eric, you orchestrated this solely for your interests. Teresa would have been happiest with her parents, working hard and thriving. Instead, you dumped her on me, disregarding my solitude. You only cared about who your heir would be, using that innocent child to ensnare me." I continued, "Helen, please believe me, I only wanted—" Cutting him off, I asserted, "I don't care what you wanted, Eric. The truth is you deceived me and toyed with my emotions. I supported you consistently, and this is how you repay me. From today, you're on your own. Teresa is going to her father anyway. I don't have a brother anymore, and don't even think about asking me for money again. I won't help you even if you're in dire straits." Eric, taken aback by my stern stance, attempted to apologize and seek forgiveness. He even tried to enlist our parents to vouch for him. However, our parents sternly rebuked him, condemning him as a deceitful schemer. They expressed feeling betrayed and severed ties with him, vowing to expose the true nature of both him and Samantha. My parents, staunch advocates of morals and ethics, were deeply offended on my behalf, and were resolute in imparting a significant lesson to the erring couple. After an hour-long tirade, they unceremoniously ejected Eric from our midst. Subsequently, Eric appeared at my door, pleading for forgiveness. My legal actions had ensnared them in significant trouble, as CPS delved into the case. It appeared likely that Samantha would lose custody of Teresa to her ex-husband. Without any savings to secure Samantha's release, Eric found himself in a precarious situation. Her ex-husband was already on his way to retrieve Teresa, who for the time being remained under my care. I informed Eric that he and Samantha deserved the consequences of their actions, closing the door on their faces. From what I gathered, nobody was willing to lend support to Eric and Samantha any longer, leaving them isolated with a looming lawsuit. Meanwhile, Teresa had been reunited with her father, who expressed gratitude for the care I had provided. While I occasionally maintain contact with the young girl, my life has largely returned to its previous state.